about Mr. Cooper, man, really he was he came to our church this weekend, and he was promoting his play. And as I did a little further research, man, I found out that he was doing something that was basically tying into our last week's episode, which was Injustice Then and Now. And his play is dealing with the fact that dealing with Medgar Evers, dealing with Emmett Till and Harriet Tubman, dealing with some civil rights activists and some giants, man, back and for Black history people, man, Black history that people that know Black history know these names, man, and they know these people and what they did and what they contributed to. But I like the concept of his play because it's like putting justice on trial, man. So I don't even know the concept. I just like the name, and I feel like the name is going to bring itself out once it's going to bring the content of the characters out. So I'm really looking forward to going to the play, man. And I'm just thank Mr. Cooper for being with us because he's a busy man and he has a lot of irons in the fire, man. Just talking to him offset, man, he has a lot of irons in the fire. But the fact that when I talk to him, I feel his spirit, and he's a humble brother, man. And I understand that the scripture tells us that he who exalts himself shall be humble, but he who humbles himself shall be exalted. And I feel like that's what Mr. Cooper has done today and done for us this morning, man. He has humbled himself and cleared his schedule just to be with the Black Men Vent 2 podcast audience, man. So we thank him for that, man. We really do.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir. And Chad Lawson Cooper, Nashville. Chad Lawson Cooper. Y'all know me, Nashville. I like to do a little bit of homework. Didn't do it a lot in college, but I still managed to get through. So let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Cooper real quick. Chad Everett Lawson Cooper, born February the 17th. He is a composer specializing in the gospel genre, an American performer, filmmaker, producer, director, writer, a man of many hats. But my favorite, he's a Black man. He's a Black man. He's a creator and writer, again, of the nationally touring stage play Church Mess, which is billed as having been the longest running gospel stage play in the United States. He also, Nashville, is a well-known, he's well-known to theater audiences for his performances as William Gray in Church Mess, which was also the play as well. He is the leading vocalist in the celebrated singing group Soul Tempo, who was featured in the blockbuster film The Preacher's Wife. As a filmmaker, he has produced and co-produced several feature films along with his wife, Alicia Robinson Cooper, Hollywood great Harry Lennox, and super producer Man Robinson. His stage plays, Nashville, check this out, are estimated to have grossed around $20 million in revenue.
Come on now.
Nashville, let's keep going.
Black wealth.
Come on, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Again, guys, we want to pretty much on this episode with Mr. Cooper, and we'll bring him on right after we introduce his trailer for his play and his film. His play is related to his film. His film is related to his play. Justice on Trial, Nashville. That is the name of the film as well as the name of the play. Justice on Trial. His play will be performed April the 10th at 6 at the Franklin Theater in Franklin, Tennessee, 419 Main Street, Nashville. Again, Justice on Trial, April the 10th at 6, Franklin Theater, 419 Main Street. Let's hear about what the Justice on Trial play and movie is about. 2 civil rights that you face in your own experience, man. Just vent with Nashville a little bit about how that went for you.
Well, I've been in this business, in the entertainment business, from an entertainer and a playwright since 2005 professionally. I started out in Miami, Florida, and we toured with a production in over 170 cities entitled Church Mess. And God was transitioning me to, I guess, to have a broader audience, not just a church audience, but I like to call it the kingdom audience. And so to make a long story short, though, the meat of what I'm saying is in 2016, the end of 2015 and 2016, I began to go through some changes. It felt as if I had made a mistake following this vision that I felt that that I had to do. I felt God had called me into making movies. I was pastoring full time, and God had taken me to play with my wife. She begged me to help chaperone some kids at Florida Memorial College. And as we were sitting there, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, "You're going to have to change up what you're doing. And you're not going to be pastoring traditionally anymore. You're going to do plays and movies, and you're going to travel the world."
Wow.
And but you got to give up this comfort zone and this place of familiarity and this good place so I can make you great.
Yes, sir.
And so it was a process. So I'll say 10 years of ups and downs. We had good days, and God knows we had bad days. And so in 2016, my wife and I went through a separation for the first and only time. And it was during that time I was sleeping in a basement in Wilmington, Delaware, at a friend's house.
My God.
And on an air mattress. I was depressed, wanted to commit suicide, felt that my whole life was just a failure, and I'd wasted all of these years chasing a dream that perhaps at this point I felt would never come to pass. And during that time, I was in the D.C. area, and Philando Castile was murdered. I was at Cracker Barrel that particular day, and when I saw it come across my phone, I sat there and I cried, because it was another thing that I would say, diminish, hurt the esteem or just the mindset of black men.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I said, I mean, to be shot like a dog, to be treated like that in front of his fiance and child. And as I was sitting there, I had this epiphany that I should do something. I said, well, I don't march like Al Sharpton. And, you know, at that time I had no resources, just a word from God. I was just trying to make it. In the whole Justice on Trial, the name came. It was originally named Black Lives Matter 2, TOO, Justice on Trial. And later on, it switched the name to just Justice on Trial to reach a broader audience. But the whole concept of having two civil rights attorneys try a case for reparations for African Americans and bring back time traveler witnesses. And these three witnesses are what came to mind. It was Harriet Tubman to represent the slave era. It was Medgar Evers to represent the socioeconomic status of black people in America, and Emmett Till that represented every Trayvon Martin, every George Floyd, every young man, Ahmaud Arbery, Philando Castile. And so being that I was homeless at the time when I wrote it, I was writing it in depression, and I was actually living through this script as I was writing it. I had never lived in the projects before, but that's where my friend lived. And my kids, I remember my kids came to see me one day. They was like, you live here? I'm like, because they'd never seen me. You know, my kids grew up because I was in entertainment, and even though I was living by, we call it gigs in the entertainment world, I was living by gig and day by day, sometimes month by month, and my kids had only lived in houses with pools and what many would call mansions, and now all of a sudden, you know, daddy don't have no money, daddy's living in the projects. And but here's the thing, you know, the enemy can take the accoutrements, which is, you know, weaponry, external weaponry, to fight battles, but if he can't take your spirit down, he hadn't won. And we got to keep our spirits where it continues to produce, and it can. Your mind is the most powerful thing that you could ever have. And so, you know, you can take my car, but I still got feet. You know, you can take my house, I still can survive. They teach us that on survival. So we can still, you know, but if the enemy gets your mind and gets your faith, then he's one. And it was a battle with me because I wanted to believe God so bad, but I was in so much pain and I had nobody to vent to. Who do you vent to when everybody thinks you have everything, but then you go through a season and when you asking somebody, hey man, can you loan me $20 for lunch? And they don't even believe it.
Right. Wow.
And then you can't tell everybody your business because you don't want them to, some people happy that
So
when you
true.
fall, they're happy.
So true.
You know, so I was caught in a pickle, man. I mean, and people that, some people, family members that knew about it was like, oh yeah, I'm glad finally he needed to be brought down to size and all of this stuff. I knew it wasn't nothing was gonna happen anyway. He been doing this for you. He should have just did that. And you know, everybody got these opinions.
Yes.
But God kept saying, live. I was thrown out into a sea. I felt like, and God said, swim. And then I said, but I don't see any land to swim to. He said, but keep swimming. Sooner or later, land's gonna show up. And when you get tired of swimming, you turn over on your back and float. But whatever you do, don't you go under and don't you die. And so in the midst of pain, I wrote Justice on Trial, the off-Broadway play, and we debuted it. But by the time that we debuted it, my family had come to me in New York, and we were back together again. And that battle was fought, and that battle was won. But it was sometimes our most beautiful prized possessions comes out of pain and rejection.
Yes.
Because the enemy does not want you to win the mind battle and the faith battle. And so when we debuted this production in New York at Medgar Evers University,
Debuted at Medgar Evers University.
absolutely,
Wow.
to a packed house.
Yes.
And I sat in the audience. I was not in the first production because I wanted to see it, because I've been in all of my productions ever since I've been doing it. I was like, I want to see how it is from the audience, and it's not a gospel play, so I want to see how they they receive it. Man, it was like sitting in the audience watching Good Times. I mean, you know how you hear the audience, they be talking back. I mean, they wanted to get on the stage with these actors, and I was like, they were feeling the vibe. You know, when the young man on the jury that's about your age stands up and he's listening to all of these older people talk. He say, but listen, Emmett Till touched me because when you look at the fact of the matter is, Emmett Till represents Trayvon Martin. And and Emmett Till is Trayvon Martin. And Trayvon Martin is Emmett Till, and then he stands up and puts his hoodie on and says, and I am them. You know, I can't walk down the street without being in fear of my life. I can't even hold hands with my 5-year-old son without being afraid that we're gonna be shot just because of the color of our skin. You know, so you know, this is what this play is about. This is what this movie is about, and it's more than a play, and it's more than a movie. It's a movement, and in 2018, I took it on tour. Again, I felt like I was tricked into it, but all things, because I didn't want to tour anymore because I felt like that had broke up, you know, my wife and I the first time. And I just want to do plays in New York, and had no intentions of even being in the movie business at that time. But God had another plan. In 2018, started touring again, and God said, this time it's going to be different. Between 2018, 2019, God allowed me to have more success in those 2 years than I had in all of the other years that I had been touring. And I saw the manifestation of what I've been waiting for all of these years happen. And so God took me to a place where there's a scripture in the Bible where the Egyptians were trying to kill the children of Israel, and they crossed the Red Sea, and they didn't leave broke. They crossed it with materials and power, and then the word came and said, but this enemy you will see no more. God took them to a place where this battle, this devil, you won't see it anymore.
Yes, sir.
And so God shifted me into movies, and all of a sudden, you know, I was in a whole nother arena with people, my allies and my partners had changed, and you know, and now, you know, I'm way in Hollywood and doing things, and we sold out Beyonce's mom's theater twice. We sold out the Wilshire E. Bell Theater, lines wrapped around the building, and I'm like, man, I'm a dude from the East Coast and standing on the stage that Brad Pitt just stood on at the Wilshire E. Bell Theater to lines waiting around the building just to see something that was birthed in me. And when I stood out, you know, on that stage and said, "I am Chad Lawson Cooper," the audience went, "Wow!" And I was like, "This is Hollywood." But it was something that was needed. What we're doing is needed in Hollywood. It's needed in New York. It's needed in Nashville. It's needed in Chicago and Louisville and Miami. It's needed. We have to protect the African diaspora, and we have to continue to educate and motivate our people. And what motivates them is seeing where we have come from in our past and seeing the strength of our past. And as men, we got to continue to motivate each other, because we got too many other external forces that try to tear us down just because we are men and you know, black men at that. The odds are already set against us, but if God be for you, who can be against you? So we're here at DJ Callie's restaurant, and I'm getting ready to eat some what looks delicious food. And here with my son Andre, and he has fried turkey wings and what that is.
I have grilled chicken chopped up with mac and cheese and rice, veggie rice.
That's what's up. So listen, Rick took me by his homeboy from Mississippi's place and gave me a fresh cut. Mike Dura.
Yeah.
And so he trimmed me up, and we're ready to film tomorrow for Hanging with Mr. Cooper, the reality series. So it's gonna be fire. Miami's the place where it all started for me. I was sitting in James L. Knight Center, and I heard the Lord say, "You're gonna do plays and movies, and you're gonna travel the country." And I've been doing it now for 17 years, 170 some odd cities, and movies on BET, Amazon, and several platforms. And God is faithful to what He promised. So we're here just to reminisce when my son Chad too was born, and a lot of things happened in Miami. So peace.
It's not like Vegas, is it? What goes on in Miami stays in Miami. Is it like Vegas?